The Practical Guide into Writing a Research Proposal. Lesson 11. Gap in literature. No research has been carried out on this particular issue, new issue. You should begin with the qualitative approach since this is a new issue and a new phenomenon. Thus, there is no reference in the literature in terms of the model, the constructs involved, and the measurement scales. The findings from this study would contribute to the literature. Gap in literature. The issues have been studied and the literature is already available. However, based on your critical reading of the literature, you found that certain variables have not been studied. Thus, new research is needed to introduce new variables, mediator, moderator, and others, to the existing model. Your study would contribute to a new model. However, you need to have literature support for the inclusion of a new variable into the existing model. The variable could be a mediator or a moderator. The literate gap that your research should consider could be one of the following. The research has been carried out in other countries where the characteristics of their population might be different from ours. Thus, the research is required to determine whether the same theory holds. The findings could contribute to the literature. The literate gap that your research should consider could be one of the following. The time lapse of previous research is too long that certain socio-economic variable of the population has changed. Thus, new research is required to assess whether the same theory still holds. The change in socio-economic status, for example, would cause the change in public perception towards certain issues. Thus, previous findings might not hold since certain relationships might no longer be significant. A new study could produce different findings and contribution to the literature. Literature gap. The contention in research methodology employed. Thus, a new research using different methodologies is required. Example, previous research employed the first-generation method of multivariate analysis, namely ordinary least squares, OLS, regression to model and analyze the path coefficients among the latent constructs in a model. Currently, with the existence of second-generation method, namely structural equation modeling, SEM, to replace the first-generation method due to certain limitations in OLS, a new study is needed to improve the analysis and come out with new results. Literature gap. A new research could begin at a point where the previous research ends. Normally, previous researchers would outline the direction for future researchers. The previous research could not achieve all the aims/objectives due to certain limitations. A new research could be carried out by considering previous research as an anchor for the study. How do you write a gap in literature? Read keywords and citation. Another best method to find a gap in the literature is the use of keywords and citations. You should read all citations very carefully and try to judge where you are missing important points. If you find some problem in your writing, then you should rewrite it. Thank you for watching. Please continue Lesson 12.